Hey guys, thanks for joining us to learn to play games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at Walls of York. This is a new game by CMON Games. It is a 2 to 4 player game that can be expanded up to 8 players if you purchase another copy of the base game or have a friend that has one. And it takes roughly half an hour to 45 minutes to play if you're playing with the 2 to 4 players. It is a competitive game, so each player is going to be working against the other players to gain the most points and be the overall winner at the end of the game. So in the game itself, each player is going to be playing an architect that's traveled to North England to try to build the walls of York. And the king is going to decree what kind of buildings he wants enclosed within his city, and then the players are going to construct their walls to try to enclose those different buildings within the city without capturing too many different raiding Vikings along the way. The player that's able to do this the most effectively will get the most points, and at the end of the second age, that player will be the overall winner of the game. So buying paints on this one, I would recommend this one to both families and light to medium gaming groups. The rules to this one are very easy, as you guys are going to see here, and there's not a lot of complication to them. I didn't really have any questions that came up, and I think that they presented them very well within the rulebook. And I had a good time with the game. This is a very light game as you're building the walls around the city and the map that you've created at the beginning of the game, as you guys are going to see. And the player is able to do this the best without enclosing too many of the Viking tokens that are in there, will be the winner at the end of the game. So of course these are just my opinions. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this game. Is this one you're looking to pick up, or have you picked up? And of course, if you enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider that like button, subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference to help me continue to grow and be able to bring these games to you guys. If you want to stay up to date on all of my videos, also consider ringing the bell so you get notifications anytime I release new content. So let's head to the table and I'll teach you guys how to play. There are 2 different die included in the Walls of York. The first one are the King's Dice, and each one of these has different values on it. So one of them will have 1s, 2s, and 0s. Ones will have 2s, 3s, and 4s, and then this one here will have 3s, 4s, and 5s. Then we also have the Building die, which is going to tell you 2 pieces of information. On one half of it, which are the red side, you're going to have the walls and the structure of the walls you can build. So for example, this one you can build 3 walls in a straight line. Now, if your area is enclosed, then you will collect coins on this side, showing the number of dots being the number of coins you'll collect. And each of these sides is going to be different. So for example, this side you would get 1 coin, and it would be a 90-degree turn on your walls. Then you have this side here, where you would either get 2 coins if your area is enclosed, or you will have to build 3 walls in that shape. And I'll go into more of this later. Each player's city is going to be made up of 4 of these grids, and each grid is going to be double-sided and is going to have a symbol in the center of it, along with a circular arrow that points in a direction. And this is going to be only important for setup, and I'll show you guys that. But on the back side is the reverse side of this tile, and the configuration of the different spaces is different on both sides. From there, inside the tile itself is going to be made up of a number of different spaces, which are going to include churches, wells, and markets. You're also going to have Viking Spaces, which are, if they are enclosed within your city, you'll receive Viking coins for those. And then there's also Coin Spaces, which again, if they are enclosed in your city, you'll receive coins. And each of these tiles is going to be broken down into a grid, which will have the spaces in there, along with the lines, which are the little roadways. And those are the spaces where you're going to be placing your walls as you construct them for your city. Now, you can never place a wall into one of the squares, and you can never have double walls, so you couldn't do something like this. You have to have them where they're on the roadways themselves, and they can never extend past your tiles either. So if this was the edge of our tile where we would have a frame, you could never go beyond that tile as well. And I'll go into more of this during the gameplay so you guys can see how that works as well. Moving into board setup, the first thing that you're going to do is each player is going to receive a border, which is going to be comprised of 4 different sides. And each side is going to have a color of flowers on it, so you'll match them up. So you'll have a blue, purple, yellow, and orange side. And each of those sides, like I said, is going to have different colors on it, so you're going to want to match them up. You can't do the yellow to a blue, for example. It just won't fit real well. So once each player has their border constructed, then each player is also going to receive their 4 tiles, which are going to have your white, blue, purple, and yellow gems on them. Once all the players have those, then you'll choose one player to be the starting player for this, to start the setup, and that player will go through their tiles, choose one of them that they want to play, and choose which side of that tile they're going to take. From there, then they're going to place that tile out on the board in a direction based on the arrow in any way that they want to. Once that player has placed that tile, all their players are going to play the same tile in the exact same way with the correct side up, so the black arrow side up, and it pointing in this direction. So each player's board is going to be exactly identical to other players. Then we'll move to the next player, which again will choose from the remaining tiles that he has, and he can choose any way he wants to and do that to that tile. Again, all the other players are going to copy this, and then it will go to the next player to choose again which tile he wants. And this is going to continue until the players have played all 4 of their tiles onto their playing areas. And again, as you guys can see, I've set up a 2-player game, and both of the players' boards are identical, matching all the colors of the gems and the direction of the arrow, as well as the color of the arrow on both of their boards. From here, we're ready to move into the rest of the setup. To finish off the rest of the setup, you can place out all the walls and all of the coins and Viking coins as well. And for this video, I'm going to be using the Crystal Fortress pods, which you'll be able to find a link to in the description below. But these are customizable little storage areas that you can create and use for whatever you want. You can also place out the castle structure, and the instructions on how to build this are at the beginning of the rulebook, along with the king's dice and the building die. Now, as the game goes on and players are building their walls into their cities and that, you are not supposed to look at your opponent's board to determine what they're doing before you place down your walls. If you feel like this is too hard, alternatively, you can also place the box between the two of you or between however many players are playing as well. And if you want to play with more players than are allowed it in one box, if another player has the game as well, you can combine the games and make a giant game where you'll be able to play up to 8 players. Each age in the game is going to start with the King's Decree, and this is going to determine which buildings need to be enclosed within your city walls. In order to do this, you're going to go ahead and grab the 3 King's dice and mix them up, and then randomly place 1 in each one of the slots. And this is going to get you the numbers of each of the buildings. So for example, with our first stage here, we're going to need 0 churches, 4 wells, and 2 markets. And for those of you that are curious, I'm using a macro mat from Tablewar Designs, and I'll have this in the description below. But these are really handy, especially if you're looking to take pictures of your miniatures that you paint, or using them as backdrops and that, as I am for my videos as well. So you'll be seeing these in the future. Like I said, you'll have the description in the bottom below if you want to take a look at them as well. Now that we've finished the King's Degree, we're ready to move into the rest of the age. So during this step, you're going to select one player to be the starting player. You can do this any manner you want. You can have one player collect one of each of the coins, shuffle them up in their hand, and have each player draw. And the player that draws the Viking coin, for example, could be the starting player. Once the player is determined, they're going to go ahead and grab the building die and give it a roll. And then based on the image of the walls, each player is going to construct those within their city. For now, until a player has enclosed their city, they will not worry about the coins on the top, the little dots. So for example, with this one, each of our players is going to build 3 wall sections in a straight line. And again, there are some parameters to this. Again, you cannot place... And there are some rules to this. You cannot place any wall that is going to cross this border around the edge of the board. You cannot place them over images or double wall sections. For example, you could not do that. You have to place the walls on the streets and only 1 wall per section. So for example, our players are going to plot out how they want to do this, but we could go ahead and say that our player up here is going to build 3 walls in this manner. And our player over here, per se, could do this on the outside. Now, based on the image that comes up, you can mirror that image or flip the image however you want to build the walls within your section. So now that both of our players have built their walls, this would pass to the next player in clockwise order to give it a roll. And let's go ahead and say that our player rolls the L shape. So again, our players will build those walls, that image, on their city somewhere, and they don't have to connect the walls right away. So for example, our player up here could do something like this. And then, like I said, you can also flip the image, so instead of it going up, it could go down, or sideways, however the player needs to build that section. This is going to continue with each player getting an opportunity to roll the building die until the players have enclosed their city. At the end of any turn, a player can declare that they are enclosing their city. From there, they're going to choose a consecutive area that they're going to count as their city walls. Any sections that are within the city or outside the city that aren't part of that wall are removed from that section. So all of these would be removed, and then like for example with this situation where we have this pathway or this pathway, we would have to choose which one is counted, and as we need the wells to meet the requirements, we're going to choose this outer pathway and include all of this within our parameters. And again, with sections like this that are connected by only this little spot, there's no way to count them within your city, so you could not choose that as a consecutive area because it is not linked. So these are going to simply be removed and added back to the general supply. Now again, like I said, once you declare this, you must make sure that you meet the king's decree. So with our example here, we would need 0 churches, 4 wells, which we have 4 wells, and 2 marketplaces, which we have 2 marketplaces there. We actually have an extra one that we didn't need. From there, the turns are going to continue with the players continually rolling dice until all players have enclosed their city and declared so. So anytime after this, each turn that the die is rolled, the player or players that have an enclosed city will gather a number of coins based on the number of dots on that die. So if a player is able to enclose their city quickly, they can earn quite a few points if the other player is trying to build a larger section to cover more ground. Once all the players have enclosed their cities, we're ready to move into the city scoring step, where each player is going to count up the number of coins that are within their city walls. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. So we'll receive 10 gold pieces for that. Then each player is also going to count up the number of Vikings that are within their city walls as well. So our player here has 4 Viking tokens. So he will receive 4 Viking tokens with the Viking helmet side up. Then let's go ahead and say the other player didn't do so well. He ended up getting 8 coins within his walls, but he also only got 2 Viking tokens within there. And since we're only playing a 2-player game, that is where we're at. So the player that has the most Viking tokens will be invaded. And if the players are tied, then both players would be invaded. The player that gets invaded will flip over one of those coins to the invasion side, and then the rest of the coins are returned to the general supply. And this is going to count as -5 points at the end of the game. So in reality, between the players, this player has more coins, but currently he only has 5 because this is going to take 5 away. So our player over here is actually in the lead. From there, then we would start another age, and the game is played over 2 ages. So again, we would start with the King's Decree, where we're going to roll all the dice within the castle and determine what the king wants within the walls. And this is all going to be cleared off, so both our players would clear their boards and return those to the general supply as well. And then we would go ahead and start another age, again, like I said, starting with the King's Decree, and then building our walls. And the players will continue to do this. And then when the players are enclosed, we'll enter a second city scoring, and then we'll go into the final phase of endgame scoring. So the second age scoring works pretty much the same way as the first age, and again, any player that did not get invaded will heap all of their Viking coins from the first age. So our second player here did very well, only picking up a couple more Viking tokens. From there, then, we're going to determine who gets the King's Shield, and that'll be the player that has the fewest Viking coins. So our player over here only has 4, where our player over here has 5. So he will receive the shield. And if it is a tie, then all players that tie will get the shield. So one player will receive it, and the rest of the players will receive 3 coins, as that's what the shield is worth. From there, again, then we will determine the player that has the most Vikings who will be invaded. And again, if the players tie, then both players would get invaded, or any player that ties will be invaded. So again, our player over here got invaded, and so then we will go into final scoring. So our player over here loses 10 points due to the 2 invasion coins. And our player over here does not get any negatives for his Viking coins, and then he'll total up. So he has 15, 16, 17, 18, and 3, 4, 21, where our player over here ended with 10, 14 points. So our player over here did better because he was able to regulate his invasions better. And the final thing is, if the players tie in their final scoring, then the game, they end in a tie and both players share in the victory. Well, I hope you guys found that video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, swing by my Facebook and Twitter accounts. Let me know what you guys are playing or doing, or leave a comment down below. Let me know if there's any games you'd like me to cover, or that you're interested in seeing what I think of them. Always looking to start a conversation and love to hear from you guys. Also, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it, and I take into account everything you guys say to try to make the best possible videos for you. And if you enjoy this video, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference and helps me to continue to grow and be able to bring these videos to you guys. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.